Hello and welcome to Speaking the Truth in Love. Today we are going to speak about an important factor that affects everyone in this world. Today we're going to speak about fear. Fear is something that is affecting everyone. A statistics tells me that more than 75 to 80% of the people in this world are affected by some kind of fear. My dear friends, if I ask you a question, are you affected by a fear? Your answer to this question would be yes, I am afraid of this or I am afraid of that. We all have our fears. Do you know that all our fears come down to one fear, and that is the fear of death. Today, if you see, people are afraid to shake hands. People are afraid to get infected. People are afraid to be sick, to sneeze, to cough. What is the fear? Is it just coronavirus? Oh, I will be infected? No. Is it just that, oh, I will have to go through a hospitalization? No. It comes down to the fear of death. But I want to tell you something. When the fear of death is surrounding and moving and overpowering the people in this world, there is something that God has put in you that is the exact opposite of fear, and that can battle and win over fear. Do you know what it is? It is faith. Faith is something that God has put in each and every one of you. Bible talks about it. He says that He has given us a measure of faith. A measure of faith. Let me tell you something. If you read the Bible, it talks about how God created the entire world. There was faith that was involved when God created the world. And do you know, Bible says that God created you in His own image, in His own likeness. You carry His capacities. You carry His nature. You carry His strength. You carry His faith. But still very often we go through times that we are struggling. And Bible says that all those who are weak and heavy laden with this fear, Jesus said, come to me. Come to me and I will give you rest. Now, what is the evidence that you have faith which can battle this fear? The evidence is rest. Do you have rest in your lives? My dear friends, if you do not have rest, if all that you carry is worry, tension, anxiety, here is the good news. Come to Jesus. He will give you rest. There was a time when Jesus and His disciples were going in a boat. Suddenly it says that storms arose. The waves started building up and the water started filling the boat. They were about to die and the disciples were so sure about it. They were terrified. They ran to Jesus, who was, as Bible says, He was sleeping on the deck. A storm is going on. It is impossible to sleep when a storm is going on a small boat on the deck. Now come on. The disciples were terrified for His life. Let me tell you that most of His disciples were fishermen. They have spent their lives in the sea. They know very well if small storms arise, it will calm down. They know for very well, even if we go in the water, we know how to swim. But here was a time when they were terrified, for they knew the storm was too huge and it is going to drown them all. They ran to Jesus and asked him, "Hey, Master, are you not bothered? We are going to die." Jesus just got up. He looked at the storm, and the Bible says he scolded the storm. He said, "Be quiet, be still, peace." The moment he said, "Be quiet," there was a stillness that spread around in the sea. And then he turned to the disciples and he asked a question. "Do you not have any faith?" My dear friends, if Jesus had to ask this question to the disciples, that means he had already given them the faith that they need, but they haven't used it. The Bible says God has given us a measure of faith. Today, no matter what you are battling with, no matter what you're struggling with, no matter how big or mighty your fear might look, you have the measure of faith that God has given you. My dear friends, if your faith is shaking today, if you are afraid of your future, of your health, of your job, of your marriage, then I want to tell you something. Put your trust in Jesus. He will give you rest. Now, what does this trusting in Jesus mean? It means knowing for sure that God is in control. If Jesus expected it from his disciples to have faith, that means he knew that he has already given them that faith. My dear friends, the Bible says that faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. If you want to build your faith to overcome your fear, then you need to hear the word of God. This will build the faith that you have, and it will have enough strength to overcome. Now, I was telling you that you can build your faith by hearing the word of God, that is from the words from the Bible. Now, how do you release the acquired faith? Let's see what Jesus did. When the storms came, disciples were terrified. Jesus was resting. But when he was called to help, Jesus just arose and he spoke to the storm. To activate your faith to work in your life, you need to speak out your faith, what you believe in. My dear friends, I'm not just talking about positive words, but Bible says that the word of God is alive and powerful. When you release words that are alive and powerful, it will work in your favor. Dear friends, the word of God assures us that he has protected us. The word of God assures us that he will provide for us. The word of God assures us. It says in John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will not die but have everlasting life." Your fear of death ends when the word of God brings faith in you. My dear friends, faith is enough to destroy the fear that is destroying your life. Thank you for joining with me. God bless you. Continue to speak the truth in love.